What's up, everyone, and welcome to Tide Talk, the Rhode Island FC podcast that's for the fans, by the fans. I'm your host, Matt, and whether you're a day one sicko or new to RIFC, you've found your home. Every episode, we're breaking down the latest from Rhode Island FC, the matches, the moments, the players, and everything happening in and around the club. Before we dive in, make sure you're following Tide Talk across all of our social media accounts. We're on Instagram, X, Facebook, TikTok, and everywhere else you scroll. Stay locked in for updates, exclusive content, and all things Rhode Island FC. If you're joining us on YouTube, please say hi and share your thoughts in the chat. And if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts, please take a second to like, subscribe, leave us a rating and a 5-star review. It helps us grow and bring you even better content each and every single week. All right, let's cozy up, crack a beer, and dive into this one. That one got messy. That was good. As always, I'm joined by my good friend, Ryan. Ryan, what's going on, man? How's your Sunday going?
Lovely Sunday. It's a lovely weekend in Rhode Island, honestly.
Beautiful weather. I know we're getting more of the heat a little later this week, so the humidity not so bad, so palatable.
Yeah, no, I mean, beautiful weekend, beautiful Sunday. Really no complaints on my end. How about you?
Yeah, pretty good. Went to a birthday party today with the boys. They bounced around a big inflatable slide pool, so they were active. Graham fell asleep on the way home. Always pretty good. Mr. Quadros reminds us, smash that like button if you're in here, if you haven't already. Good Sunday, good weekend. Pretty good day yesterday. And I guess starting with that, just kind of the lead up. Always good seeing Clan Healy make it to the tailgate.
No, it was a ton of fun. Having a newborn, you desperately miss like those kind of things that felt so normal for a while. But super fun to play. I was playing soccer with your boys. See all the Tide Talk people. Took a shot with the Defiance with their new partnership. So a lot of good fun, even in the kind of 45 minutes I crammed in there.
For sure. So the Defiance new partnership with the distributor of Jack Daniels, there was some Jack and Coke canned cocktails floating around. There was some tequila for their full portfolio that translated inside the stadium, which we'll get to in a minute. But a really good vibe in the parking lot, although very, very thin. I was very surprised on how light it was.
Yeah, I mean, we got there around 6, and I expected to be parked all the way on the other side of M7. Luckily, we were kind of right there. We could walk right over, which was nice. But yeah, definitely thinner crowd. But back to that shot of tequila, I do have to give the Jack Daniel folks some credit. That I think it's called Humidor tequila, very smooth. I usually have a pretty big pucker face with tequila, and that was lovely stuff. So shout out to them.
And I believe they are the tequila sponsor of the USL too, because you see their ads on a lot of different teams. Okay. Broadcast, light boards, and all of that. So it was good. It was not your cheap college tequila for sure. It was had a nice little citrus hit to it. It was very good.
No, I do love the full circle moment of Jack and Coke being at the tailgates back in college when I was in college in Providence. That's basically all I consumed. So really lovely. I'm not even gonna say how many years later that's coming back into my life, which is nice.
Just a full circle moment. Very, very good.
Tear to my eye.
No march to the match last night. A lot of people took the bus. Some people walked. We walked. We did the Division Street Bridge route, which I actually liked a lot better, a lot flatter. I know there's a major street you have to cross before you get there. So that's probably one of the hindrances to doing that weekly with the large group that usually does the march to the match with the Defiance. But I did like that route. I kind of complained last week about the active construction site route and how it's dicier and dicier by the week. We actually walked that way on the way back, and it is very unlevel and a bit difficult to negotiate, especially with kids.
Yeah, I mean, we had the stroller. I was actually 20 feet behind you the entire march. I was trying to catch up to you, but we were with a big group. It's a lovely walk. You get to go over the river, you get to see the stadium, get kind of the feels coming in, which is always nice. So we took that back because it's just a lot easier with the stroller. But hopefully someday Division Street is back up and running because year one that was really fun marching. There was still some construction gear, but now it is untenable.
Yeah, I'm sorry for not letting you catch up. I was just trying to keep pace with Timmy and his Jerusalem cruisers on. He was absolutely flying. And that and Graham wasn't none too happy, although it was his decision to walk and not take the bus. So that was where we were at with that one. But getting into the stadium, the Jack Daniels trailer behind kind of where the club entrance is was a nice touch, a foosball table for the kids. They had some samples. They also had 2 specialty cocktails at the little truck there. Jack Daniels himself was there in statue form. I took a lovely selfie with him. But a really cool new partnership that the team has gotten involved with, and the Defiance will continue to grow with and get involved with as well. So good stuff.
Yeah, no, overall, I mean, I would say like, thinner crowd than normal, but the vibes were tremendous last night. Like perfect night to be at the stadium. It was just like I don't know. There was a very positive atmosphere. Yeah, you got the scarf, which I was super jealous of. But no, overall, like very, very, yeah. You could just tell like there's a fun vibe in the air, and it was also relaxed. I think it didn't help, or maybe it did help that Hartford was kind of up early, so the stakes were pretty low in this one. But
Sure.
Overall, a fun start to Pride Night.
Derek says, I assume the two big World Cup games put a little damper on attendance across the board. Very well could be. I don't know. There was definitely some big block party going on that we saw on the walk-in.
Oh, my God. The one at Pico's was crazy. It was ripping out. But honestly, it was in and out. It was pumping.
Yep. He asked, what, you don't want to fall into a pit? I did not want to fall into the Wu-Tang gravel pit there. It's it's good. Sarah says the mini scarves are really cute. I have one of those somewhere. I put it on Graham's head like a headband. It was pretty cool. But Jack had a lot of cool merch. They had some koozies, they had some patches, scarves, mini scarves. Really cool new partnership. Well done to Defiance and the team. I think it's going to hit some new heights with some of the things that we heard yesterday, and probably not privy to talk about just yet. But make sure if you are not a member of Defiance, now's a good time to join with that partnership looming.
Yes. I mean, even just like one Jack and Coke is probably worth the cost of admission.
For sure. Before we kind of take a look at the lineup, we have a clip from Kano in the post-match press conference. So we'll take a listen to him. And this was with a newer reporter in the room. And the officiating is going to come up a lot tonight. Guido's name is going to come up a lot tonight. And we'll start off with that. Sex sells, so we'll start off with this.
You mentioned the officiating did they do a great job tonight?
Yeah, excellent.
You think so?
Yeah, excellent.
No sarcasm whatsoever?
What do you think?
I think there's sarcasm there. I just want.
I thought it was excellent. I'm not a sarcastic person. I thought they were.
I'm just meaning you.
Oh, sorry. No, I'm not. Yeah, and I'm not
I honestly.
being any way trying to be disrespectful to you. I'm just.
Oh, okay.
That's my answer. That I thought the officiating was fantastic.
Good answer.
Yeah.
So Kano thought Guido and the officiating crew was fantastic, if you believe it. Full Joe Mazzulla mode in this press conference there from Kano Smith.
Hey, listen, not the first time I've ever disagreed with Kano, but no, I thought this was so funny. I am so sad that we were not in this press conference. I would have loved to just continue to ask him about this, because that is such
follow
a
up to that.
Yeah, follow up. I just want to make sure we're on the same page here. Super, super funny from Kano.
Yeah, Scotto the dog says Kano is extremely funny here. I'll give him that. It's going to come up a lot. Most of my takes on this game were just how poor the officiating was. The lineup was one thing, and we'll take a look at that in a second. But I think the main theme people took away, and we saw from some of our social responses that we'll get to later on in this one, was how bad the officiating actually was. Sarah says that poor new reporter. I mean, it's tough, though, because if you're going to ask a coach about officiating and set him up for potentially being fined or reprimanded based on comments, and you get a sarcastic answer, I'm all for it. Well played to Kano. I love the response there.
Listen, Kano's got to look out for the bottom line. I don't blame him at all for just going with the stock answer there.
Yeah. So somehow Derek's not sure if he believes his words. Take it for what it is. I think it was just absolutely great. But we'll switch gears.
Before we to the lineup, should we talk about the kind of stakes in this one?
Yeah, go ahead. Roll it in.
Yeah. So basically, as we talked about last episode, we did have this was not a league match for those of you who were unaware. This was the Prinks Tire USL Cup, and this was the final match of the group stage. So we talked about this a bit at last episode. We had a very uphill battle to qualify for the knockout rounds of this competition. In this competition, only the top of the group was guaranteed to go through, and then one second place of, I think, the 8 groups or 9 groups went through, or 7, I don't know how many groups, but only one of them went through. So you had to be the best of the second places or one of the first. We were in third place in our group going into the game. So we basically needed Hartford to lose and then for us to win, so we would top the group, or for us to win and then a ton of second place teams to lose or drop points. So pretty uphill, especially kind of knowing that it was only up to Hartford, who were playing Westchester. And as we saw, Westchester are not a phenomenal team. Great tailgate spot, but not a good team.
Yeah, Andrew Quadra says this cup format blows. It's just so weird that you don't play every team in your group and then only the group winners and, like you mentioned, the one best second place team gets through. It's just weird. It's an Americanized version of a tournament, I think, and it just wasn't thought out too well. Bring back the Jaeger Cup.
Yeah, I mean, I can't like the Jaeger Cup's all the same problems, but at least it was much more fun to drink about.
True, although we get Jack now, so I guess it's okay. All right, so switching gears to that lineup, we saw Koke Vegas and net, Danny Rivera, Aldair Sanchez, Dwayne Atkinson, Leo Afonso, Pity Rodriguez, Noah Fusan, Frank Nodarce, Jojea Quizera, Nick Scardina, and Karitha Yao. Ryan, what did you make of this one when you first saw it?
So it was one of those ones where it took me like a really long time to figure out who was playing where.
Especially on the field, too.
Yeah, I mean, we were in the parking lot and we were all together when it came out, and we were all just trying to figure out like who was playing midfield was really the big question. Like there was plenty of options for the attack, plenty of options for the back line, but who were going to be the two, quite frankly, heroes among us who were going to, deputize in the midfield and pull together the most injured part of our team for one game.
I thought it was really interesting the use of Nick Scardina early in this one. He was almost playing center forward at times. He was in the center of the box twice early. We really look to be bombing up the right flank for most of this one early, and I thought we did a good job in attack early on in this one.
Yeah, I mean, back to the lineup. I mean, so we did find out once the game started that it was Danny Rivera and Busy or the double pivot. Would you have predicted that happening? Or our double pivot actually playing double pivot before you saw that?
I probably would have predicted that because our double pivot could have went on quite a run during the World Cup.
Fair. But no, I just want to say, like, I really do appreciate Danny and Busy for like stepping up and playing a position that I've never seen either of them play before. Like, it's not easy to do that, and we just have such an injury crisis in midfield. Another thing I was excited about with the lineup is to see Leo at striker.
Mm-hmm.
We've been talking about the past few weeks of like if JJ is unavailable for whatever reason, like who is going to be that person that kind of steps up, especially with Logan Dorsey moving out. So interesting to see him there. And then I also thought it was interesting that once the game started to see that Noah continued to play more at the kind of attacking midfielder number 10 role, whereas Pity was on the wing, where traditionally we kind of thought Pity was always going to play at that number 10 position. So a couple things that were interesting to see.
Whenever I make some kind of a like bold statement or I guess polarizing statement, it always comes back to bite me, as you guys know in the chat. But Scotto the dog says, why aren't we switching keepers here? And I was very much saying before this lineup even dropped, you know what, I'd like to see Castro in this one. Koke has played every game. Like Matt Hands responded to this question. There has to be a lack of trust in the backup. Andrew Quadro says, good question. Castro must be real bad. Don't know what it is, but I'm pretty sure pretty glad that Koke played last night.
Yeah, I mean, Koke, yes. Yeah, for many reasons, which we'll talk about. But it is starting to get concerning. Now, spoiler alert, we are now out of this cup. And, like, we just have the 17 league games to manage. But at the same time, the fact that we have zero clue. I've never seen either Castro or Will Myers.
I mean, not seeing either one of them versus Fiolens was, I think, like a weird sign. I know Castro was still hurt then. He was still on the availability report. But we've seen the injury woes with Koke over these last couple of years, and you got to get him a break at some point. We talked about this last episode.
Yeah, I mean, even just from like a competition perspective, it's getting a little weird. Again, to many people in the chat are saying like very happy Koke played for the reasons we'll talk about, but just something that is gonna, I think, continue to linger in all of our heads until we see another person stand between the sticks.
Sure. That's a very good point. But like we talked about, I thought early on the attack was very good. We controlled the ball. Field tilt was tilting our way for sure. We had a couple of good chances down the right-hand side. Weren't able to capitalize until the 18th minute, and we did so with this goal right here. Oh, I'm sorry. This was to your next.
Oh yeah, sorry. I wanted to put this in here just because just in case anyone was confused looking at the last lineup of where we actually stood.
Yep. Good. All right.
There is Rodriguez. Space for Quizera. Quizera plays it central. One time rolled in. It is Rodriguez. It is 1-0. And Rhode
a very Rhode Island FC goal for Brooklyn to concede there, because they're in absolute acres of space, has the time, picks out, and Pity slots it home. A really nice build up and nice lead up, and not the cleanest strike by Pity there, but the finish went in, and I guess that's all that matters.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote even in the third minute, like, number one, excited to see Quizera on the right. We talked a lot last episode about, like, who are the people who can step up and score, especially with JJ out. And Quizera on the right is an elite player on this team and in this league. So really great to see him there. He makes an instant impact in the third minute, getting us a corner. And then, we see it here. That pass was pretty unbelievable. He takes out 3 to 4 players. Puts it right on the money for Pity. Again, it's not the cleanest finish in the world, but he gets in the net, which is all that matters. And at the same, I also thought he had a really funny celebration. He started like dusting himself off, which that's a good one to pull out of the bag. So all in all, I mean, RFC was doing a lot in attack. I thought we played with a lot of pace. I thought we were really going back and forth there. So made it a really fun. You could tell there was like a fun energy to the game on top of a really fun energy to the in the stadium as well.
Seeing Pity open his account for Rhode Island FC with his first goal there, we were pretty critical of him, I believe, last episode, and him kind of struggling to, contribute and get in and amongst the goals, and doing so with a mismatched lineup, if you will. Good to see, and I think Pity might have the talent to get into those spaces. He's good in those half turns on the ball and stuff like that. So, we talked about, we need another player outside of JJ getting in the goals. So if Pity can, kind of get hot and get on a little run, this would be a very much needed addition to this attack.
Yeah, I mean, listen, very happy for it to be by committee, but if one player wants to really just step up, by all means, go for it. I would say there was one downside to this goal, was that when the crowd went nuts, my son absolutely was terrified and lost his mind, completely freaked out. So, it was tough. Maybe last year, when he was kind of going to games, he wasn't used to scoring goals at home. So, a little tough for him, but he got over it immediately once we took him out and he kind of saw the fun happening in the stadium. So he's good.
Yeah, absolutely. I think after the goal, the game kind of got a little stagnant. We did have the possession lead in this one. I think in that time, but it did switch later on. You'll see Brooklyn actually did have the majority of possession. We'll talk about later. But I think the rest of this half kind of played out a little stale.
Yeah, it was no one really got control of this game. I did think, like, in the 8th minute, we saw Obregon. He flopped around when Karifa touched him, which really, I think, kind of set the tone of the match that he was going to get that call. We then saw in the 21st minute, there was another really strange foul call. And I just kept, like, on my rewatch going back and be like, wait, what did he call? Like, why did he do that? And I was like, this rewatch is going to take an hour for me to just keep going back and back and back. And then we do see Frank in the 34th get his first yellow card, which again is like completely shoulder to shoulder with Obregon. I just wonder if he like smelt it on the ref of like, I'm going to get whatever I want from this guy. Like, because again, he had at least 2 or 3 in the first 30 minutes that you were just like, they're 50-50 at best. And like, the ref's just going to continue to feed into it. So I think it's what bothers me with some of these refs. We're going to talk about Guido. It's just like, you don't have to intervene on every single thing. And he just made it his mission to intervene on everything.
Sure. I think I also got to give some credit to the Defiance for chirping Lucas Burns throughout this one and getting the Jackson chance going.
I was going to say that we want Jackson chance are very, very good.
It was also there was a moment where Burns played a long ball and he actually set Obregon up to get leveled by Karifa. And that was, I believe, the no call one. And he absolutely played right through him. Another elite chant I thought was the no pity, no party after Pity's goal there. I think that was very well done.
No, I mean, there was a lot of really good stuff in this game from like the crowd. It wasn't the biggest crowd in the world, but I think we did the best with what we had, which I really appreciated.
For sure. So I know cup games, don't always have full La Banda. There's a little lighter vibe in the section, but I always feel the chants and jeers that come out of cup games are truly special, truly different. People were just on the opposing players all night. They were on Guido all night. So I love seeing that as a hooligan at heart.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like I feel like a lot of the away days we get are all ends up kind of being in these like cup-ish games because they are more local in that way. So I do think it brings out, in some ways, the local rivalries too. You kind of get to know some of these players, get to know some of these some of the opposition in ways too that you can utilize, especially in those chants and in those things.
For sure. One weakness we've seen through this RIFC team is either conceding a goal right after scoring or conceding before the half or start of a half of the first 5 or last 5 minutes of a half. And we saw that again as Brooklyn was able to level this one in the 45 plus 4. So just before halftime in the added extra time. And here it is.
De Silva to the right. Obregon to the left. Obregon steps up. Obregon bends it and scores! Oh, what a finish! J.C. Obregon equalizes for Brooklyn.
So that is a very well struck ball. His antics all night were, pretty obnoxious, I thought, but a very well struck ball. Koke took a little ding on that, it looked like, but able to stay in. So good to see. But goals we cannot be conceding right before the half.
Yeah, it was such a weird one because for the majority of the extra time of the first half or stoppage time of the first half, we were actually kind of threatening a lot more, and then all of a sudden it's just one missed header. I think it was from Frank. They're just on our goal. Krifa, it's a really tough foul from him to have to give up, but he kind of had to. And then listen, Floppy McGee, Obregon, he absolutely beautiful pass for him. Congrats to him on the upcoming addition to his family on that celebration. But again, to your point, you cannot give up that goal it was literally the last kick of the half. We never even kicked off again. So it's a game that I'm not going to sit here and say we dominated, but I think 1-0 at halftime very much was a score that I think reflected the game.
For sure. We have Bo Finelli in the chat. How did RIFC beat Brooklyn, but they got eliminated? We talked about this in the opening. Just a quick recap. Basically, every team that won their group went through, and only the best second place team from all the other groups went through, and we finished third in our group with this one. So we were not advanced.
I do think that's very important. I think we kind of are glossing over the fact that we didn't even finish second. We were not even in the opportunity to go through there, which I think we're kind of all missing in that point.
Right, based on the point that Brooklyn, was able to pick up as well. Even with our bonus point, we did finish third. They had a +5 goal differential to our +2, so that was
and I guess just to what you're saying. In this, if you draw at full time, you both get a point, and the PKs are for just an extra point. You don't get 3 points from that.
Right. It just goes back to how bad that Portland loss was. And I know all of us were there. We were very excited about that one and very let down by the end result.
Oh, yeah.
So here's a look at the first half stats. RIFC, 54% possession to 46 for Brooklyn. We outshot them 10-2, 3 on target to Brooklyn's 2. 1 big chance for Rhode Island, 0 for Brooklyn. Much better passing accuracy than we saw last time out. 83% to 81 to Brooklyn. 10 fouls on us, 4 on them. I think that's when, or part of the reason people are really looking at Guido of Brooklyn could do no wrong in this one. More than double the fouls. 2 corners to 3. Any other big thoughts on the first 45, Ryan?
No, one thing I did want to call out is I do think there's a really interesting partnership growing with Quizera and Scardina. I really liked what we did there to get Quizera isolated on the right. I also thought we were being really aggressive, trying to get guys running into the channels with some long balls. We were very kind of diverse in how we were playing. But yeah, I mean, the other thing I just have to announce is I kind of put up some big numbers at halftime myself. I got Green Line Apothecary for the first time this year. Unbelievable ice cream. We tried both flavors. I did like the coffee better. I'm also just a coffee guy. The cheesecake, Timmy really put me on that one because he was very excited about it. It was just missing cheesecake bites in it. That's what you kind of expect or something like that. But both of them are very, very good. And then I did have my first pretzel of the season in the first half, which, listen, there's been some talk about some inconsistency, stuff like that with the pretzels. The demise is far away, folks. It is still just as good as ever.
All right. I think like I said, I think it depends on what batch you get. If you're there and you catch that early batch that has been sitting, it's kind of a lackluster experience. But if you catch them fresh,
they were cranking last night. We got through that line very quickly. So,
yep, good stuff. Second half starts in this one, and a little bit more more of the same, I think as things kind of continued. We did see a bunch of theatrics, and starting in the 50th minute with Frank Nodarse picking up that red card on the second yellow card. That was a total non-contact play. It looked like quite a dive, quite frustrating. I believe it was Tyler. Yeah, Tyler said in the chat, we would have smoked these guys if Frank hadn't gotten sent off.
Yeah, I mean, the whole second half, like you kind of, after this happens, you kind of forget it was even 10 versus 11 because it was a very just like evenly played game in a lot of ways. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was an absolute ridiculous flop. I mean, I think it's one of those ones where kind of Frank's like pushing him off, accidentally trailing arm, like hits some part of his body, makes him yell a bit. The ref, he can't control himself. He has no ability to do that. So he's going to obviously sprint over and make himself feel like a big man and give a yellow card. Huge shout to Joe Jaya. He was immediately over there criticizing Obregon, which I think like someone had to. I was shocked that more people weren't. I do question for you with his celebration earlier about his upcoming child. Do you think that child's embarrassed? Because I would have been embarrassed.
Have to be.
In the womb, I think that child is embarrassed for his upcoming father because that, like, what an embarrassing game from him all around.
Yeah. I think we talked about, watching Sacramento, like I liked the way they played. They actually went out and played. We talk about Orange County. I hated the way they played. Brooklyn reminded me of that. It was very floppy. They were extremely poor last time here. So I do give them credit for making it a game at least and getting themselves to penalty kicks. But tough team to watch with that setup. And I think it starts with Obregon.
Do you think that the hospitals of Brooklyn were able to cope with the amount of injuries that were kind of coming back that way?
I don't know. They might be in like full capacity right now.
Yeah, I mean, just awful stuff. I just hope dearly that everyone on Brooklyn is okay.
For sure. I guess the other really big talking point also coming from Guido in this one was the Grant Stoneman. Was it a straight red? Was it a second yellow? Guido was dropping cards on the field in this one. RIFC played for the first time with 9 players. Thanks to our stat guy, Tyler Hatch, for confirming that and pulling that one up. But just the first yellow must have been for dissent, and then he must have said, "You getting thumbs down? Look at that."
I did that.
He must have said some magical words to Guido. Maybe told him to go suck his gabagool or something like that. But an interesting sequence. The RIFC public address didn't even touch this one. They didn't, put the red card on the board, yellow card on the board, because nobody had any idea what happened. I think we still don't know.
I mean, FotMob and SofaScore had it as a straight red. Again, he was fumbling his cards. Again, zero composure from the referee. I just generally don't think you can be officiating at the professional level if you just cannot contain any composure. Like if you're getting as worked up and as excited about these on-field incidents, you're going to referee in that way. You're going to almost like referee with excitement, which is weird. We've talked a lot I've talked a lot this season about how I don't really even want to talk about refereeing too much just because the refereeing is so bad in this league anyway. Like the standard's low. So what's the point?
Was this a new low?
Yes. So this is where it's really funny. We've talked about a lot of referees in this podcast, and it's never in a good light because to me the best referee is the best referees. I don't know their name. I don't know anything about them.
Exactly.
They were just part of the game and they did their job. Versus people like Guido who make it about themselves, who make themselves a star of the show. I can't remember that guy's name. Who we did a whole episode about against San Antonio, but it's just a very weird thing when you're big, the memory you have of a very fun night in the middle of July. My son was there, all this stuff. And the thing that I remember from this game is going to be the ref and not obviously there's a couple things we're going to continue to talk about, but it's just so strange how these guys cannot it's always the guys. There's a female referee. I don't know her name because she's fucking awesome. I couldn't tell you that. One.
Yeah.
She's awesome. Amazing. But these guys like this who ref with an ego and a cockiness, it's just so strange to me.
Do you think he was auditioning for the World Cup final in his mind?
If he was, I am very sorry for him. He's absolutely not going to get it.
All right. Second half substitutes we saw in this one. One of them was Grant Soman, so the substitute seeing red there. We did see a CJ Williams appearance, Amos Shapiro Thompson coming in, Hugo Baccarat coming in, JJ Williams. I thought Hugo and JJ looked to be the livelier of the subs that came in, getting on the ball, getting in the mix, getting involved. Sarah says the female's ref's name is Alyssa. She's amazing. She is very, very good.
But like, I don't ever want to know her name because like I don't want to know any ref's name. Like if I'm finding out your name, it's because you've done a horrible job.
Yeah. Timmy says up the tide. He's in the chat. He's probably watching in a bathroom at a wedding right now. So thank you for joining us, Timmy. Absolutely good stuff.
It doesn't
Scott
sound like Timmy to be
says,
antisocial at a wedding. That doesn't sound like Timmy.
Yeah. Scott the dog says the ref should be fined. Honestly, disgrace. I know we heard from you, Garte, that they are able to send clips and kind of offer up some critiques of the officials. But I wonder what pro refs actually does with that. Like, if you have an absolute mare, are you, do you lose your next assignment? Do you lose anything? Like, because this guy, U8s might be his level. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Derek's saying it in the chat like he's actually a USL 2 ref. Like, I guess I don't know. I doubt anything happens. Quite frankly, after this, like, I just do not have any sort of faith in them. Like, I feel like it's kind of one of those types of roles where like the refs back the refs type thing. Like, they're never going to throw one of their own under the bus as if they're some protected class and not people getting paid to call balls and strikes here. So I don't know. It's a very strange thing.
It's crazy to think that refereeing high school basketball and you have a stinker in front of an evaluator and like you don't get playoff games that year. Like, that's how it works. So like it has more bearing on your officiating skills than actually being an actual professional and refereeing a professional league, and you're just out there being Guido.
Yep.
All right, so we did see this one go 1-1 at full time as well, which meant that both teams secured a point and would face off in penalty kicks for the bonus point to get 2 points. Another weird Americanization of a soccer tournament, and that one played out. So we did see the penalty kicks. We did see JJ Williams miss another penalty. I think is a big point. We've seen him convert. We've seen him sky. Do you think this is a mental thing now with JJ, or do you think it's any kind of physical thing? Like, what is it? Why is he not converting? He was, after missing versus the Revs, he talked about how much they did practice them and, practice all the time.
Yeah, man. If you go to the next slide, there's actually a penalty slide here. I don't know. It's kind of strange at this point. If you look at the slide here, like, we hit 4 out of 5 of our penalties, not to spoil the ending here, but with JJ being the only one, and he's been very inconsistent. I mean, last year, Maxi was our number 1 penalty kick taker, even if he was on the pitch, and was pretty automatic, so it really worked out. But I don't know. It must be some kind of, and also, like, if you even look at like who took penalties last night, like, there's no Noah now. Like, there's a lot of people who you would have traditionally thought would take them who's not taking them. So, they are in a world, like, in some ways a crapshoot, but it's also kind of like, I don't know. We've just seen JJ miss more than you would think for a striker of his level.
For sure. Credit to Koke too, though. Koke made some, before we talk about that last one, but an absolute great stop on Brooklyn's 5th one as well. A really good job with him. Guessed right a lot and was able to get there and get the hand to it. And even specifically on that 5th one, made a really nice adjustment mid dive where he actually looped his hand back to catch it with his forearm wrist area. So that was a really nice job by him. But I believe the next slide has the video that you all came to see, the money shot, if you will. So we'll take a look at the deciding penalty kick that gave us the 4-3 win on PKs.
Can win the shootout for Rhode Island. Vegas drills it.
Love that. Look at Justin on that. Very good. Good stuff.
I would say Zach was getting a lot of airtime during the PK shootout. It was very funny.
A really confident and well-struck penalty. We've seen Lionel Messi miss multiple penalty kicks, the first player to miss 2 penalty kicks in a World Cup. And we see Koke Vegas step up there, cool as the rule, send the keeper the wrong way, and absolutely smash it into the side netting. I guess the first question, Ryan, when you saw Koke walk up for this one, what were your initial thoughts?
Oh, I was fired up. I mean, we've talked because we've had a lot of conversations about penalties with this team, and I don't think there's been maybe 2 to 3 players we've ever been like really like Maxi was kind of the one guy we've been like pretty confident about in. And I think
you
we've
could bet on
discussed,
Maxi.
yeah, and I think we've discussed like why not have Koke? Like he seems to be able to like really hit a ball well. He has good pace, and now I am like kind of team like maybe he should just take him from now on, like in the actual game. Like I'm sure there's some kind of shenanigans there because you know, if he misses or the keeper catches it, they obviously can break on us, so it wouldn't be great there. But that was a beauty of a PK, and then him wheeling away in front of the opposing keeper was so funny to me. I don't know why, but yeah, overall just like smooth as you like it, and I'm so psyched for him. That was cool.
I think one of the really cool things was seeing the players' reactions to it. You saw like our thumbnail image was Amos and him embracing after this one. You just saw everyone run over, the excitement on the players' faces, let alone the crowd. Like I got soaked. There were water bottles being tossed everywhere. It was really, really good. But I think the players' reactions to seeing that, it was almost like, you know, take you back to like your youth soccer days.
Yeah, I mean, especially like I think one elephant in the room here was that in the 70th minute, I think it was, the Hartford game went final. So like we officially knew we were out of it at this point. So I don't know if that impacted Kano's decision of like who was going to take them. Koke did talk about this. I don't have the clip, but in the press conference, and Kano was like, "Do you want to take one?" And he was like, "Yep." And then he went fifth, and he was like, "I didn't want to let." He's like, "I didn't even think about it. I didn't want to let the pressure get to me or anything like that." So cool to hear his thought process. He said he's actually never taken one as a professional. He took like one when he was like a kid in the academy coming up. So all in all, really fun for him to do that. But also like, not surprising. He's someone who obviously has a lot of confidence, but also like really strikes the ball well. So nice to see that he can apply that on the other side of the net.
For sure, really, really good stuff there. I think you mentioned Guido will be one of the bigger takeaways from last night, but saying you were there and saw Koke score a penalty at Tidewater, I think will live in a lot of people's memories. Sets it up a lot better for bobblehead night next week than the Sacramento Republic game did, for sure. So we take a look at full-time stats. RIFC outpossessed 55 to 45% by Brooklyn. We did outshoot them 19 to 13. They had 6 on target to our 5. So a much more active second half for Brooklyn, which brought those chances up. Each team with one big chance. 81% passing accuracy for Rhode Island to 75 for Brooklyn. We won 80% of the tackles to their 83. 17 fouls on Rhode Island. Damn, Guido. 17 to 9, almost doubled them up. 4 corners to their 10. We did score first, so if you want to take us through, and the FOP Mob man of the match was Leo Afonso, 8.1 on FOP Mob, 5 chances created. So just one of the recipe for success elements was in the red on this one, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because the recipe does not include, did you play basically an entire half down a man? But as we said, like this game didn't feel like we were down a man. It probably helped that one of Brooklyn players were rolling around on the floor at most times, so allowed it to happen there. One very funny takeaway here: the only 2 players on Brooklyn on their bench who did not play were Gabby and Jackson. Like that was just kind of mean. Like we all wanted to see our 2 guys, and the Brooklyn coach did not give us what we want. We had Tamu out there, but yeah, and like he obviously doesn't have like a ton of. He was here for a hot second and went on loan most of last year, so very annoying. I guess we all got to kind of chant to him while they were warming up, but overall, sad that we didn't get to see our 2 guys.
For sure. One of your stats on this is wrong, but it's not because of you. It's because of FOP Mob. Leo Afonso was not man of the match. That was definitely Guido Gonzalez Jr. And Rhett BCD has a very good factoid here in the chat. Just found out that Guido Gonzalez Jr., the referee from the game last night, was awarded by Pro USL Referee of the Year in 2019. What a
we're talking pre-COVID. Pre-COVID. I mean, that was a
yeah. So I don't know. Maybe Guido's suffering from long COVID still. It could really affect. That's why he dropped the cards.
I want to be clear. You can have a bad night. Like that. We all have bad days at work sometimes. It just happens too often in this league.
I wouldn't say that was just a bad night from a referee. I would say, based on his performance, that is a pattern of behavior. I've never seen him ref before, but I'd be willing to bet if he's calling a game like that, he's calling a game like that quite frequently. I think it also probably attests to what type of player he was at some point in his career. Just an absolute flopper, a rage bait merchant who, rewards the flop, loves the flop. and Obregon got it to him.
Well, yeah. Again, my bigger issue with him is like the way he emotionally ref the game. Like he emotionally couldn't pull himself out of it, and I think that's what weirds me out. Like he every single time he'd run in and his chest was out, and he had to almost prove that he was the big man in the game. And it's just like, I don't know. We're all adults, so you don't have to do that. Like that was the strange part to me, because then
Guido.
Yeah, then he called a lot. Like his whistle was he was too quick to whistle. He was too quick to the cards. Kano got a yellow. We didn't mention that. That's customary.
Their coach got a yellow too.
Yep. So like it was just, everyone had to know at the end of the game that Guido was the big man. He was the actual important person there. And I hope he had a lovely night after that, just like feeling good about himself.
Yeah, I hope he missed his flight home. That's really what I hope for.
I mean, if he's lucky, he got to go through TF Green, which is the best airport in the nation. But I hear you on that.
For sure. Tyler says not just the PK, but all the awesome saves in the second half too. Too bad it was ultimately a meaningless game, but this was a Koke legacy game last night. I asked Koke post-match down on the field what it was like to score. He was just so excited. Like I said, it was like youth soccer vibes. Very happy. Also very, very good stuff. But unfortunately, it's always good seeing a penalty kick win. I think the crowd gets pretty wild in it. But a meaningless one in the end. I will say after referees make like second, third bad call of the night, that's usually when I take out my phone, I open up FOTMob, and I find out the name. And once I started yelling Guido and telling people that the ref's name was Guido, boy, oh boy, did the Guido chants and jeers carry on from 116 last night through this one, which was absolutely awesome. Love that I could contribute some of the vile being thrown at him.
I mean, if you're gonna be a shitty ref, it's tough when you have a very fun name as well.
True. Wasn't even Italian. Guido's not even Italian. I think that's the funny part of it all.
Oh.
All right, but we will switch gears a little bit and get your thoughts. We did RIFC in 3 last night, and dealer's choice of good, bad, and ugly, or good, better, best. We'll start in the Defiant 1636 Discord. Chelsea's RIFC in 3 ejections for all. I heard somebody say, it might have even been Kelly who said to me, it was almost like a Oprah where you get a red and you get a red and you get a card, and like Guido. Continuing in the Defiance Discord, Nate Ski's RFC in 3 next year Cup. Kind of sucks to think about. His good was the atmosphere. Better was a living legend in the soccer world at the bucket. Best Koke penalty kick to seal the win. That's going to be a common thread through a lot of these. Our friend Leo had good, the shift put in by players who don't get as many minutes and were played away from their typical positions, including Danny and Busy. Better, the Obregon penalty miss after the way he carried himself all game. Best, Koke converting a confident penalty to put it to bed. RAFC in 3, consoling poetic justice. Chad M had good, winning pens. Better, pity on the board with a beauty. Best, Koke with the clincher. RFC in 3, blank, blank, Guido. I'd love to see what words, and I can't even count the dashes. What's going on there. Timmy had good. Danny and Busy holding down the midfield and putting in legitimately good shifts there. Bad, having to play Danny and Busy in the midfield. Ugly, 2 dodgy sending offs. Guido sucks. RAFC in 3, an empty win. If you haven't already, make sure you go check out Timmy's player rating blog. It's live on our newly redesigned website. Ryan Michelangelo Healy with a absolute beauty. If you have not checked out TideTalkRI.com lately,
Matt, it's really weird. You said there's only one post game blog this time.
Yeah, Matt Hands did blog. He did continue his World Cup blog, but we got to give a shout out and send well wishes to our friend who broke his fibula. Is recovering. Awful injury for Matt Hands. Cleaning the yard up, took a dive. It happens. We wish him all the best. And hopefully his blogging fingers are able to get going again, as we did see with the World Cup one. But I did want to just how much I love you all. I did try to get him to write a blog on whatever drugs they gave him last night, and we would have done like a Patreon type situation where you could have paid like 25 cents to read it. But man, oh man, I was trying so hard to get him to in whatever state he was in to write a blog, but he refused. Man of principle, I get it. Natesky said he just saw Amos and Grant at Antonio's. Amos is probably buying Grant some pizza for that sending off. It's got to be what it is. Hands on the IR.
As well.
Look at that. You could have been there. Hands on the IR. We wish him well. If you talk to Hands, make sure you send him a message, send him some well wishes. He says the blog is up on OnlyHands. So if you're an OnlyHands subscriber, you can check that out. And if you don't have an OnlyHands sticker, find Tyler Hatch. It is a thing of beauty. It belongs on every cooler at the RIFC tailgate. Sarah says he's refusing to take the drugs. Well, we can probably help you make some money, buddy. No, he took the drugs, he says. All right, back to the Discord. We had let's see, Taris with good, like the winning PK was absolute theater. Bad the rest of the game. Ugly. The officiating was worse than normal for the second straight game. That second yellow on Frank should be a fireable offense for a referee. RIFC in 3 on to Fartford. Dave Audette, good shootout win. Better Koke sealing the deal. Best the energy in 116 as always, but especially when we won. Good, see above. Bad, Obregon. Ugly, Guido. RIFC in 3. Guido's a chooch. No lies detected here from Dave. That's a great shout. I will say, with the cup games, we've had like the big one European style drum versus full banda at a lot of those. And like I mentioned, I think the cheers, the chants, the voices, the jeers that come out of 116 during that setup, where you're not always, kind of competing with the ongoing drumming, is elite. I think some of the most creative things come out of RFC when it's that one big drum in the front, or out of 116 when it's that one big drum in the front. I think it's a really, really good vibe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Again, it was a smaller crowd, but the vibes were very good last night. Like, I ran into Patrick McKenna like midway through the first half. We were just kind of walking around with the baby, and him and his family were out there. We all just were like, "How is the stadium not packed tonight?" It is like a beautiful night to watch the game.
Right.
It's just like a lot of fun stuff. Like Rizzy was at the stadium. There's the Jack Daniels stuff at the stadium. Like they just did a lot of really fun things. So yeah, overall, there's no better place to be in the summer than Centerville Bank Stadium.
Couldn't agree more with you. Continuing in the Discord, Chelsea's good. No pity, no party. Better the Koke penalty kick. I didn't even know it was legal for goalkeepers to take shootout. I think back, I don't know if it was Euros or World Cup, Pickford taking a couple and being pretty successful for England. Best Section 116 easily. Bad no Darcy's ejection. Ugly Stoneman's ejection. Andrew Gomes might have one of the best ones of the night. RAFC in 3. Koke equals BDE. Peterson children, if you're watching, I want you to ask your dad what that means. Just and record his reaction. Send it in. But I thought that was an absolute great one from Andrew Gomes.
I got the notification for that one today, and I laughed out loud. Excellent job, Eddie.
Good. Last on the Discord, Andrew Milko. Good. Taking the game seriously, even with it probably being a road to nowhere. Better winning in pens with that dork Obregon just blowing it. Best Koke Vegas with the final kick. Bad old floppy Obregon and a bullshit second yellow for Big Frank and a red for Stoneman ? Exclamation point. Ugly. I can't legally or ethically express my exact feelings for that ref, but maybe she should consider a different job. Guido does need a different job. Well said, Andrew. RFC in 3. I'm seeing red. Or justice for Frank. He gave us 2 on that one. So good stuff there.
I do really love when people, when we give them the option, they just do all of them. I really respect that.
I love like that. The dedication is key there. On Facebook, we had Chris Peterson with 2, Koke for president and yellow card crazy, and Paris Peterson with what the ref. A lot of time been spent on Guido in this 48 minutes up to this point, and I don't know if we even did it justice to how bad he is. Like Milko said, if you're that bad at your job, you got to find a new one. So thank you to everyone who wrote in. We do our post-match posts on all of our social media accounts. You can follow them at Tide Talk RI pretty much on everything, and look for those full-time posts and share your thoughts, and we read them out. And like I said before, we usually pick the best one or funniest one that makes us laugh the most for an episode title. I think Gomes, he's going to win this one tonight. That'll be a fun one for sure.
It's good. I feel like Andrew Milko won like 12 weeks in a row, so I'm proud of Gomes for stepping up there.
Yeah, Milko is different sauce with it. His RIFC in 3. I know he's an artist, by profession, and it's just not visual art that he's good at. It's written art as well, because he has a way with that keyboard.
Yeah, especially if you constrain him to 3 words. He's excellent with 3 words.
Sure. Scotto the Dog says on here, poor show from Labanda not turning up. I hope there was a good reason they couldn't come. It's been an ongoing thing with the Cup games, so I don't know if it was because of that. But like I said, I do think the big drum hits differently, and the voices get out there and into the wild, and that's always good to hear and see. And I think it really creates a different atmosphere on Cup nights, and one that I always very much enjoy. And the hooligan in me certainly comes out on those nights as well.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know why La Banda weren't there. There was no statement or whatever, so unclear why. So
yep. All right, so we will hand it over to Ryan, and In Focus is here tonight.
I'm going to be honest. This In Focus is, I think, one slide. Guys, listen. 3 matches in a week. We're doing our best over here. We are like the RIFC midfield. We are just making it through. But Matt, if you just go to the next one, we really just want to focus on like the Cup runneth over. So we Matt and I talked a lot about how Portland. That game was kind of the nail in the coffin with the new Cup format. If people remember, we drew with Hartford, took the point there, which kind of gave us a slight advantage. Winning there would have been a lot better for us. We would have gotten the full 3 points versus just the 2. And also obviously taking one from Hartford there. But kind of once, you kind of lose one game in this format, you're kind of out. So so we ended up in 3rd place. Again, I can't reiterate more how we weren't even in.
Didn't even put ourselves in contention for that best second place team.
I just keep laughing that people are kind of like, oh, we were like, no, we weren't even in 3rd place or 2nd place here. So just kind of not a great showing from a team who has traditionally done pretty well in Cup tournaments like this. But it kind of really all goes back to the Hearts of Pine game. Andrew and I
still have nightmares about that.
It was just a really, really, really poor showing. I mean, Andrew and I did. I don't think we did 2 hours. I think we did like an hour and a half. We contained ourselves, but I just remember that was one of those days that just felt so defeating at the time, and we knew at the time that it was potentially going to be the death knell for this competition, and ended up being that way. So and even Brooklyn, like we had mentioned, that they were potentially kind of a sleeping potential issue in this tournament because with a brand new team, getting them in the last part of the draw versus like the first one, I think the. Oh man, I was knocking beer over. In the first,
you and that fidget tonight are having a blast. I love it.
It's just it's like this chill pill thing I got from a friend. She works at Shark Ninja. It like has like a fan and stuff. It's so nice.
Fancy.
We'll work out. Yeah, I'll talk to you after about it. But yeah, I mean, overall, it just was like a really poor showing, I think, in this tournament. But now we really just have the 17. There's only 17 league games left, which feels like it almost should be less. I'm kind of in 2 minds there. But we have one thing to play for now, and that is, quite frankly, getting into the playoffs, and then hopefully, really making a run of it, and hopefully getting that long-awaited home playoff game, which we've waited so many years for.
Matt Jean, just make Matt Jean happy.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to say it until they finally get it. I just would hope, I really hope it's this year. But, we are playing Hartford next, which if we beat them, we would move, we'd leapfrog them into 7th place. Obviously, if depending on other matches, I think Miami could potentially still move ahead of us. But, we do have the opportunity to solidify our place in the playoffs, which obviously is goal number 1. But this team is way too talented to only be settling for scraping by to getting in the playoffs every year. Obviously, it's great that we've made a few runs after that, but I would really love to see this team and this squad chase that home playoff game.
Well, I think that's funny, Ryan, because I talked about last episode a conversation between Timmy and I about, Timmy said he thinks we would get into the playoffs, but would be surprised if we didn't. And I was kind of the flip side of that. I don't think we're going to get in based on this current run of form. That we've seen, a lot of the inconsistencies, but I'd be surprised if we did. So I think home playoff is, we made a run last year to make that almost happen. But I think that is very well out of the window. And these slow starts just are absolute killer each year now. And it's really, really tough to see.
I want to be so clear. We should not be having this conversation every year. Like the fact that this is year
almost every week.
Yeah, almost every week at this point. But yeah, like the fact that last year and this year we had to talk about I think we all believe in the talent of this team, but like for the longest time last year, we were not in the playoffs Currently, we are not in the playoffs. Like, it's a really cute trick we can do, and we can turn it on, and like we get over the line, and we make a little run in the playoffs. Like, again, I can't really reiterate how last year, like obviously Charleston was amazing, but we won in PKs, which is a coin flip, and then we beat a team who literally that same week announced that they were disbanding before the game. And then we got pantsed in Pittsburgh, which was one of the more embarrassing games I've ever been to. So all in all, like, I just would really like this team to come together and focus on this run and showcase the talent that we can clearly see is there.
Yeah, I agree with you on the talent being there. You see JJ with 10 goals contributions on the season. Amos has really stepped his game up over the last couple of weeks. You've seen Aldair run ragged all season long. Quizera on the right, like you said, is an elite player in this league. But one big issue I talked about last week, I think, is the lack of depth. And, we are seeing what our options are if we rotate in the slightest way at all. We're seeing what that would look like with a potential injury crisis to affect the team. At some point, you have to imagine an injury or two might occur further than what we currently have. But I think, if we're going to go on a run and make a push for a home playoff spot, we got to add some depth to this lineup. I still think we're 2, maybe 3 players short to provide some actual depth to make that count. But I wish everyone health and luck and staying in it. And, hopefully we can make the run to count. So we did ask for you to throw your score predictions in the chat for this upcoming Saturday's Derby versus Hartford. Andrew Quadros has a 3-1 RIFC. Rhett BCD has a 0-0. Tyler's got a 3-2 up the Tide. And, anyone else you want to get yours in, share it before we do. Andrew Milko is also predicting a very warm reception for Anthony Siaha in his return to Tidewater post-wank. So it'll be lovely to yell obscenities at him. I can't wait to hear what Graham and Zach yell at him. That'll be good stuff. Absolute cinema. But Hartford in their last 5, like you mentioned earlier, they just beat Westchester in the USL Cup 2-1 last night. They had a 2-2 draw versus Orange County. They lost to Louisville 1-0, drew the Riverhounds 0-0, and beat Tampa Bay 1-0. So 2 wins, 1 loss, and 2 draws in their last 5 in all comps. And that is the exact same record as RFC in our last 5. So how do you see this one playing, Ryan? How do you see it shaping out?
Yeah, I mean, Hartford, as you kind of can see from their run of form, like they don't give up a lot. They definitely lean more on the defensive end. But if you look at kind of their goals and goals for and goals against last year, it looks a little bit like last year's RAFC in a lot of ways. Like they don't score many, but they also don't let many up. Obviously, it's going to be a very emotional, very heightened game. With Siaha's antics last year, people don't forget. Shout out to Superbad on that one. I know we all don't, so he will definitely get a warm reaction there. It's a team we've already quote unquote beat this year with the Jägermeister Cup shootout victory in
Prinks Tire Cup. Ryan Prinks.
Sorry. I yearn for the Jaeger. But overall, I think, quite frankly, a lot of this hinges on who we find out is available throughout the week. I think Kano did a good job rotating enough to keep a couple guys mostly out of this one, especially Amos and Hugo, to keep that double pivot alive. So all in all, I'm going to go with 1-0 RAFC. I think it's going to be a pretty gross game in a lot of ways. It's going to be very scrappy, very gross. But I think we are going to, hey, listen for this. I think we might get a corner goal to win this one. I think Amos whipping one in to the large head of potentially Hugo or JJ. I think seals this one for us.
All right, I can't.
We actually can utilize a couple of these new
levers.
A couple of these new levers that we've been growing this year in a game that probably is gonna be really tight because they don't give up a bunch. And so I'm excited about that.
I see this one as a 1-1. I think it's a draw. I think it's very reminiscent of the Orange County game. I think you see a lot of flopping. You see some.
I will say another, to your point, another huge aspect here besides the health of RAFC is who the hell the ref is.
Yeah, if Guido shows up to Tidewater on Saturday, I think we riot. I think we have to.
I mean, Siaha might. I don't know what he'll do if he gets a ref as gullible as Guido.
Sure. Like I said, though, I think it's very similar to the Orange County game. I think it's, a lot of play acting by a team in green or whatever that weird other shade they wear is. And I just think it's a tough, grinded out game. I do think we get a goal. I think we concede one probably right after we give it up or, right before halftime. But Hand said it could be the guy that works for Lego from Connecticut. We could see him in the middle, which we've seen before, which is absolutely unreal. Like, balance that shit out with pro refs. But I think it's a 1-1 draw. I think it's a really tough watch. Like you said, I think it's an ugly one. So that's what I got. Hopefully I'm wrong.
Okay,
Hopefully you're right.
Okay, it's Koke bobblehead night. So everyone get there early, and let's have some fun.
Hopefully he starts at striker. Hopefully we get some more Jack in the lot too, and we're really lubed up, to quote Tom Brady, ahead of that one. But any final thoughts before we sign off, Ryan?
No, I guess I am going with my in-laws for the first time, so I might keep my wank hand, a little stashed, but I will break it out at need be.
I think you have to. It's gonna be out from the start. It's just all over Siaha.
Quite frankly, it probably depends on how much Jack is consumed in the parking lot.
True. Thank you, everyone who tuned in. If you're still here with us and you haven't already, please smash that like button. Help us get more people to find the channel. We really appreciate it. But that'll wrap things up for this one. Remember, Tide Talk is more than just a podcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook for daily social media content. Click that link in this episode description to follow all of our accounts. I've been your host, Matt. For Ryan, thanks again for joining. We'll see you next time. And as always, up the tide.
Up the tide.